Good morning, students. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Raisija Gloria Ledwaba, a lecturer for EDS4802 module. In full is promoting accessibility for persons with disabilities. This is what you are going to do today. It's going to be a very short video where I'm going to provide an overview of the module, also explain how will you get support in ensuring that you pass the module. And these are the only two aspects we will focus on today. And next time we'll look into other aspects until the end of the year. This module will be completed at the end of October, and that will be the end of our engagement. Students, we are all aware that the world population is more diverse than before. When we talk about diversity, we're talking about diversity in terms of languages, diversity in terms of socioeconomic status, interests, abilities, gender, etc., etc. Those are some of the factors that describe differences amongst people. And one of the key factor, which is the focus of this module, is the factor that describe diversity in terms of disabilities. In other words, when we look at the world population, there are persons that has any type of disability. And these disabilities can be classified as those that are visible as well as those that are invisible. So when we talk about the disability that is visible, it means that any person can see that a particular individual has a disability. For example, people who are completely or people who are legally blind. And you find that those people are using the guide dog or they are using the guiding stick for their mobility. And it's very easy to be aware that this individual has a disability. Or you see a person using wheelchair for mobility, and it becomes very clear that this individual has a physical disability. And that is the reason I say there are those individuals that you can see that they have disabilities, and we regard that as visible disabilities. We also have those individuals who have invisible disabilities. And what do we mean when we talk about invisible disabilities? We are talking about those disabilities that you cannot see that an individual is having. For example, if a person has learning disabilities such as dyslexia, you can't see that you can't see with your naked eye that this individual has a disability. But once you start engaging with him during educational activities, is then that you will realize that this person has some learning disabilities. Now, if we look at the concept of disabilities, many years ago or previously, persons with disabilities were excluded or they were discriminated from participating in mainstream activities. For instance, they were excluded from education system. They were excluded from participating in sports. They were excluded from employment settings and other community activities. Can anyone give me the reason why they were excluded? Oh, I can see someone saying it is because they were seen as people who do not have skills and potentials and capabilities to be included in those activities. You are correct. That was the belief that people had previously, that once a person has been declared to be having a disability. It means he cannot do anything. He cannot participate in any event or in any activity. And there is a term that other people use referring to other types of disabilities. For example, you'll hear that people saying someone is a cabbage. What does it mean? It means that he can't do anything. It's a very insulting concept. It's a very insulting word to be used for people with disabilities. And I also want to challenge you by posing this question. So when these people were viewed to be incapable of participating in any event, were they provided with an opportunity to participate? That is question number 1. Question number 2, were they provided with resources to ensure that they get access to participate in that particular setting? Obviously, the answer is no. They were not provided with any opportunity. They were not provided with any resources. Hence, they were believed to be people who are incapable of participating. And this brings us to the belief that you have enrolled in this module because you want to learn about all the strategies that you can use to support persons with disabilities. So this will allow those persons with disabilities to be able to access curriculum in school, to be able to access community transportation, to be able to access employment, sports, play, etc., etc. And this is what you're going to learn when you exit the program. You're going to learn about all those strategies that can be used to support this population. And I want to go back. Remember, I've mentioned that many years ago, persons with disabilities were excluded from participating. It was until the introduction of international and national instruments that fought for the rights of persons with disabilities. If you can see the slides, I've indicated international instruments. I'm talking about instruments such as Individual with Disability Education Act, the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. We're talking about education for all, the standard rules on the equalization and opportunities for disabled persons. We're talking about the Salamanca Statement, which is more familiar in the education sector. We are also referring to the World Summit on Social Development. We also have the Dhaka Framework of Action, Universal Declaration of Cultural Diversity. We also have the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. And I want to indicate, students, that the United Nations Conventions on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities is the one that will be referring most in this module. Secondly, we have national instruments for those that are in South Africa. If you are from other regions, if you are in other countries, there are also national instruments that mandates accessibility of persons with disabilities. If you are in Lesotho, you have the national instruments of national policies. If you are in Swaziland, you have national policies, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Botswana, so on and so on. But in South Africa, we have the White Paper on Education and Training in Democratic South Africa. We also have South African School Act. We have White Paper on an Integrated National Disability Strategy. We have the process that was conducted by these two committees. We have the report compiled by the National Commission of Special Education and Training and the National Committee on Education Support Services. And finally, we have Education White Paper 6, Building an Inclusive Education and Training. Something that I didn't add is the policy on screening, identification, assessment, and support, the CS policy. So these are the national instruments that mandates that compare everyone or every sector to provide accessibility for persons with disabilities. Now, coming to the overview of the module, students. Remember, this module is focusing on strategies to ensure accessibility for persons with disabilities in all community settings. I'm talking about accessibility to education, accessibility to health, accessibility to transportation, and accessibility to employment. But I want to indicate to the next age group that we are going to add accessibility to play and sports. And the material, the reading materials that you'll be using, you have TAT letter 101 as well as TAT letter 501, which serves as a study guide. We have also uploaded additional readings that you can refer to. But I also want to emphasize that if I come across the reading for specific assignment, I'll also upload it for you to give you better understanding on that unit. In terms of assessment, this is a continuous assessment module, meaning that you are not going to write an exam. You'll be completing 4 assignments, and you've already completed 1, which you did very well. So you are left with 3 of those assignments. And I'll talk about assignments later. So there are additional readers on Moodle or on my UNISA, so you can access those readers. So the textbook is on the process to be introduced. So you don't have the textbook at the moment, but it will be introduced soon. The module consists of 3 units. Unit 1 is on accessibility aspect. The concept accessibility is discussed in detail in Unit 1. And Unit 2 will be looking at accessibility to various environments. Accessibility to employment, accessibility to education, and accessibility to transportation. And we'll also be looking at how or one of the strategies to provide accessibility in various environments, in various settings for people with disabilities. And one of these aspects is the issue of assistive technology. So we'll be discussing it in one of the units. So just to give you an overview of what this key issue that we'll be focusing on in this module, the issue of accessibility. It is about providing equal access to everyone, in particular for persons with disabilities, for their active participation. I took, or I've just used this simple definition of accessibility because it has been defined, it has been explained or conceptualized differently by various authors. But I just got this simple one for everyone to understand. It's about providing equal access to everyone, including persons with disabilities, for active participation. I also want you to look at this picture. There are small children playing. They made a circle and there's one inside the circle. Maybe this one is providing instructions or is giving instructions on why and how to participate in this circle activity. And if you look at the back, there's a little boy that is standing there. That child is being excluded from participating in this activity. We don't know the reason why. Can it be because of the attitudes of those learners? Because they believe that, or those children, because they believe that that little boy is incapable of participating? Or is it because he has got some other sort of a invisible disability that prevents him from participating? So that is an example in terms of limited access to other activities such as play. So this is what we'll be looking at in this module. And in terms of the assignments, I've indicated, ladies and gentlemen, that you'll be completing 4 compulsory assignments. Assignment 1 is the multiple choice question type, and I'm going to provide you with feedback next week. You got your marks, and I'm happy because most of you did very well. Assignment 2 is a written assignment. And for this one, I gave you a case study. And from this case study, you're going to answer the questions given. Assignment 3 will follow, as well as assignment 4. If you feel that you haven't performed as you wanted or as you wished, for example, in assignment 2, you were aiming for 80%, but unfortunately, you got 65%. And you feel that, no, this is not the mark that you want. This is not the mark that you deserve. Then you can you can complete assignment 5, which will substitute the mark that you got in assignment 2, meaning that we are not going to consider assignment 2, we will instead consider assignment 5. In other words, you complete 5 assignments and we are going to take the best marks, the best 4 marks from 4 assignments. I've indicated, ladies and gentlemen, that there's no examination for this module, meaning that you'll be assessed only on those 4 assignments. Let's meet next time to discuss, or where I will be giving you feedback of assignment 1. And good luck with this module. It's very interesting, and I'm quite sure, without any doubt, that you are going to enjoy it. Bye-bye.